What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the second quarter. This is going to be our fourth episode, I think, finally. So we're going to jump into our weekly recap. I'm your co-host, Dalton Carty.
I'm Jacob Eichenlaub. So today we're going to be going over the WildCard recap. We're going to make our predictions for the division, and we got a few other things we're going to surprise you with.
Alrighty, so let's hop into it. First game, Raiders versus Bengals, 19-26 finish. This actually came down to the wire on a last-second interception by Derek Carr. Bengals' first playoff win in 31 years, over 11,000 days. So big relief for the Bengals fans to finally get that win.
I don't know if you've noticed on social media or anything, but Raiders fans are pretty upset about that errant whistle on the Joe Burrow touchdown.
So by rule, the play is supposed to be ruled dead. I don't know why they didn't let the play continue and then discuss it afterwards to see if he was out of bounds.
See, personally, I don't think the whistle changed the outcome of the play.
No, the whistle came in way too late for that.
I feel like it was still going to be a touchdown, but with the errant whistle, by rule, you have to call that play back and replay the down.
Yep. So, I mean, but at the same time, that happened in the second quarter, and the Raiders had the whole second half to make up that extra touchdown, which I understand is kind of sucks for them.
Think about it, you lost by a touchdown on that. That was that could have been the touchdown.
A big influence in this game is Josh Jacobs didn't get to run the ball because the Raiders were playing from behind most of this game. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry. He had 83 yards this game. Officiating was just poor for this entire game.
Yes, it was not very good officiating.
So it didn't. I don't want to say that call affected the end of the game, but it definitely was poor officiating for both sides even. Joe Shiesty, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 9 catches for 116 yards. And then Jermaine Pratt, like we mentioned before, got that game-winning interception. So
you got to feel bad for Derek Carr in this one.
Yeah,
he's fought through so much this season. Somehow led that team to the playoffs.
Yeah, just dealt with a lot of locker room issues this year.
Finally got his first career playoff start after being injured in their playoff game in 2016.
Yeah, I was about to say, despite making the playoffs twice, this one was his first start.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next game, just the complete dismantling of the New England Patriots. 47-17, the final score. Josh Allen threw 5 touchdowns. Devin Singletary also had 2 touchdowns. He was very efficient in this game, unlike he has been in recent memory.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about this game, really. I mean, it was a blowout. Bills played a perfect offensive game. You can't really put this game on New England's offense. Their defense couldn't stop Buffalo one time. So, I mean...
Yep, this entire game, every drive that they had ended in a touchdown except for the final kneel down. Yeah. So just a complete dismantling of a good Patriots defense here. Bill Belichick... they definitely got some work to do. I mean, I thought the defense was pretty good. The Bills obviously learned from their mistakes last time when they played a cold weather game, and they definitely put it to good use.
I've heard rumors that the Patriots are going to try and trade Mac Jones.
I don't see that ever.
I've never heard it come out of the Patriots locker room, but like a bunch of reporters think they should trade Mac Jones.
I don't think that would be a smart idea.
I don't think it's a smart idea either, personally.
Moving on to the next game, the Eagles Buccaneers 15-31
on this game. My prediction was 1 point off. I picked the Bucks 31-14. They won 31-15.
Fair enough. The score is not as close as the game was not as close as the score may make it seem. It was 31-0 at one point in the game.
After the third quarter, it was 31-0 in the fourth quarter until the Eagles scored 2 late touchdowns.
So Mike Evans, 9 catches, 117 yards and a touchdown. Brady 271 and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 258 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of them really wasn't his fault. You can't really blame him on that one. Receiver just kind of quit on the route. They only had 95 rush yards for being the NFL's leading team in rushing yards, 165 a game. It was a very poor rushing offense again, but you're playing from behind, so you can't really put your strengths to use.
They do have 3 first-round picks this year, though.
Yeah, that's true.
They got 3. I think it's 15, 16, and 19, or 16, 17, and 19. So they're looking good in the draft, but you know how the Eagles have been in recent draft memory. You know, Rager over Jefferson, Arcega-Whiteside over Metcalf. But you got 3. You got to think one of them.
They just need to stop drafting wide receivers.
You got to think
Devontae Smith was the only hit.
Yeah, you got to think one of them's going to hit this year. They got 3 of them.
So moving on to the 49ers versus Cowboys. Before we get at anything, Cowboys fans, the team lost the game, not the referees. By rule, umpire has to touch that ball at the end of the game. You had 14 penalties. It was just...
It was not a good play call.
Not a good play for... It wasn't a good play call, yeah.
No, it was not a good play call.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but Dak, 254 yards, a touchdown interception. Ezekiel Elliott, only 31 rushing yards on 12 carries. No sacks for this Dallas defense, despite having one of the preliminary defenses in the NFL. Jimmy Garoppolo, 172 yards and an interception. And then Mitchell had 96 yards carrying it. And then Deebo Samuel, 72 rushing yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys really did beat themselves. It wasn't a very disciplined game, as both teams combined for 23 penalties, 14 for Dallas, 9 for San Fran. And it was just very undisciplined, as I just said. And the Cowboys really beat themselves. That was just a horrible play call at the end of the game. You have no timeouts and 14 seconds left. Down a touchdown. You do not run that ball.
Maybe if you have 20 seconds and then you can get the team up there to spike it, but 14, no.
Or just don't run as far. He ran for 17 yards?
Something like that, yeah.
If you run for maybe 10, go down, you're closer, and the ref has time to get there and set the ball up. So it was just a poor play call.
Yeah, Dallas had 5 punts this game, and they allowed 5 sacks. I mean, Dallas lost this game, not the referees.
Yeah.
Despite it may have been poorly officiated for both sides, refs did not lose you this game. The Cowboys lost this game. So moving on to the Steelers-Chiefs, another absolute dismantling of a good defense. Steelers blown out 42-21. Steelers took a 7-0 lead, and that's the only lead that they had all game, as T.J. Watt had a scoop and score, and then immediately following that, Patrick Mahomes rattled off 5 touchdowns in 11 minutes.
I mean, what do you want to say? The Steelers were probably the worst team in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
They do have a lot to look forward to next year. We got to figure out their quarterback situation first. If Big Ben does retire, because he'd really be some Big Ben type shit to not retire after everything that just happened in the last few weeks. But I mean, they got to stay hopeful. They have a good roster. They just need a quarterback and an O-line.
So speaking of Big Ben had mostly garbage time stats here: 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. A big influence in this game, not that would have made any difference, but Deontay Johnson had 3 drops on passes that what would have been first down completions just on third down alone.
Deontay Johnson is a good receiver, but he can't catch the ball. He can get open. He's fast, he can get open, but he can't catch the ball. If he could catch the ball, he'd be a top 10 receiver in the league, in my opinion.
He's up there for sure.
Yeah,
he's already even with good. Those drops.
But if he could catch the ball consistently, he would be top 10 in the league.
So Patrick Mahomes finished with 404 yards this game. Kelsey also threw for a touchdown, as well as catching for 108 and a touchdown. And then Tyreek Hill in his return game, I guess you could say, where he's maybe fully healthy, maybe not. Good for the Chiefs to have him back, though. 5 catches, 57 yards and a touchdown. And what is most likely Big Ben's last game.
And the final game of the WildCard weekend, Monday night, Cardinals-Rams. I just want to say something before we get into this. If Lamar Jackson had the type of game that Kyler Murray did, he would be getting fucking slandered right now. They'd rip him a new ass. Fans would, not even coaches, they don't care. The fans would be so mad of just any team, don't have to be Ravens fans. Why does Kyler Murray not get the same treatment?
Speaking of Kyler Murray, had a 42.6 QBR, 137 yards, 2 interceptions. Maybe, when Kyler Murray first got drafted, I was one of his biggest haters. I was like, he is an idiot for not picking baseball over football. And then, as he developed into a football player, I felt like I was proven wrong. He developed into a very good quarterback. He was an MVP candidate for several weeks.
He did set a record this week.
What's that?
The shortest pick 6 of all time.
But I was a huge Kyler Murray hater, and then I thought he had proven me wrong. And then we get here to the playoffs, and he majorly chokes with his team. I understand it's his first one. Only 183 total yards for this Cardinals offense as they struggled the entire game. Matthew Stafford, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns. Michelle and Akers split touches for over 100 yards. No receiver had less than 40 yards for the Los Angeles Rams. Cooper Kupp and OBJ combined for 2 touchdowns. And I just want to point out, Odell Beckham was not the problem in Cleveland. No. In his last 9 games, he has 6 touchdowns.
The problem in Cleveland was 100% Baker Mayfield. It still is Baker Mayfield.
Maybe a little bit of the coaching, not giving him the ball.
Yeah, and the Browns are just not a good team. They have the roster on paper, but they don't give the ball to Nick Chubb enough. Baker Mayfield, I understand he played hurt, but if you were that hurt, don't play.
Yeah.
That is on you and the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. There's no excuses for that. You chose to play through your injury. Your fault.
Yep, and the Cardinals were shut out until 4 minutes were left in the third quarter. I mean, the Rams really went all in this year. My prediction was clearly wrong, but the Rams went all in this year. Anything less than a Super Bowl appearance is an absolute loss for them this year.
Yeah, they're not making a Super Bowl.
They are well on their way to try. So that's going to conclude our wild card weekend. weekly recap. Tune into our next episode where we predict the divisional round, and we'll see you then.